Back over here at Kentucky Street, dirt to doors, part 2. It's been a few weeks since we got these footers in. We came in with our block crawl space foundations and then started going up with framing. A few weather delays, but always feels good to get to this point where you see things going vertical. You start to get to the point where you can get a roof on. Got both 526, 528 East Kentucky. If you remember the last video, I talked about subdividing this lot. And obviously the phase after this will move a little bit slower, but it's always a big hurdle when you can get to the point where you're weathered in. So once we get windows and doors on here and a roof on it, you know, you're technically weathered in, and still a big hurdle to get framing wrapping up here in the next day or so before Christmas. And we're gonna try to get roughed in or weathered in by the end of the year to start rough ins at the beginning of the year. A little bit about the framing over here. You come this way. We're in a tight lot, so I wanted to focus on this shared walkway here. Both of these are the same floor plan, and so 19 foot by 54 feet with a 5 foot front porch. These are crawl space foundations, and so both of these crawl space entries will be from this little bit wider shared access here. Part of this phase of construction is managing the chaos and fighting through that to still control what you can. And so obviously it gets messy, especially when you got two going up side by side framing wise. But this is part of the process, and part of what I try to control as a builder, as a developer, that's kind of GC in these is, you know, it might get dirty, but you got to get it cleaned up. Dirty, cleaned up, and always trying to, you know, get trades to realize the value of that. A few framing things that I wanted to call out, definitely some things I learned from the last time I did this floor plan. All my plumbing walls, I really emphasize doing 2x6 plumbing walls here. We learned on the last one just the value of that. So anywhere where I have plumbing going in, we did 2x6 framed walls. Definitely worth the expense. Give your plumbing plenty of room. Most of that's on the second floor, but this wall right here and the exterior wall in the back, 2x6 framing walls. A couple other things we learned on the last one. We did open web joists on these floor joists, which have a chute down the middle for our HVAC, which will keep us from having a soffit along this side where we had to put in on the last one for plumbing and HVAC. So we'll hide that inside the joists. We'll be able to hide our electrical and plumbing inside there as well. And so really be able to emphasize the fact that we have 10-foot ceilings in here. You won't see any soffits. It'll be real clean when you come in and kind of feel real grand, even though we're only 19 foot wide in here. I talked about it before, but I took a double lot, subdivided it, and came in with two. So we're building two of the same floor plan over here, and it's also a repeat floor plan, something I've built before. Learning there's a ton of value in that, having one, the same floor plan side by side. You can have trades referencing, you know, each other, and everything's the same, and so ton of value here. Ton of value for material purposes. You know, it's coming to the same spot. You're getting the same quantities for both. Everything's just ×2, which is super helpful. There's a lot of time that goes into ordering material for these things. But then the fact that I'm also doing a repeat floor plan is great. The bandwidth and the time that goes into all the decisions or all the lessons learned from the previous one are just cut down drastically from the fact that I've already done it before. I already know what we learned, already know what worked well, and made those tweaks in the plans to start. And then making those adjustments before we even get into these builds versus going on the fly and adjusting on the fly. Second value point in doing the same build and doing a repeat floor plan over here kind of also goes with the fact that I have a few going on in this area is, you know, creating your own comp. The fact that you have another new construction right next to you, I think helps sale value. No one likes that rundown house next door. And so the fact that going into this, these will hit the market around about the same time. And then there will also be other builds in the area that one appraiser can reference, but also buyers and know that, hey, if we buying this thing for this value, we know it's worth that because of X, Y, and Z. And it's something I'm trying to focus more on as a builder is creating that comp by doing it myself. Over here in 526 East Kentucky, one thing I'm doing on these builds, even though most of my trades will bounce back and forth, I'm actually using two framing crews. And so they know each other, they work well together, but what I'm learning is that there's two ways to skin a cat. And so there's little things that each crew is doing differently and doesn't make it right or wrong, but it helps me learn, hey, I want to make sure I toss that to the other crew, and then going forward with these future builds, you take little lessons from each crew. Standing in the kitchen area now, talked before about the value of doing a repeat floor plan. Previously, I loved the way we did the kitchen with like a 6-foot, 7-foot island here and the cabinet layout there. One thing it'll really help doing it again is I don't have to come in and think about the best way to lay out this kitchen. I'll be able to repeat that cabinet order when we get to that point, cut down again on the decisions that have to be made. All the little measurements too, like, hey, we want to do 4 foot versus 3.5 feet in between our cabinet and our island. I learned that on the last one, what we liked and what we didn't like. And again, any way I can cut down on decisions is helpful. A few of those repeat material orders that really cut down on bandwidth and decision making are your lumber takeoff. You're paying 18, 19 grand of lumber takeoff. The fact that you can just copy and paste and do this for both of these is super helpful. Your siding order, the fact that you can copy and paste that cuts down on a lot of decision making and measurements. All of your fixtures, right? So what vanity lights, what vanities, how much tile, all those things. The fact that I can go reference previous orders, copy and paste them for both of these, and just plug and play maybe colors and different textures and things, not have to think about all the sizes and quantities. Man, I can just run down the list of how helpful it's gonna be just to go back to those previous orders, copy, paste when the time comes to order it, and not have to ask trades, hey, how much of this do you need? How much of that do you need? And just focus on getting it here at the right time when guys need it. Another thing you have to factor in when going from dirt to doors is your water and your sewer. In Louisville, you have a lot of old sewer lines, been around for forever, so you really gotta work with MSD and coordinate with them where your sewer's coming in. This lot didn't have sewer taps, so we're having to put in new sewer taps, or working with MSC to cut down our costs to let us Siamese into the neighbors' connections to avoid having to tap into that brick sewer. Another big step that doesn't have to happen immediately, but you don't want to get too far along in the build for knowing where your sewer, where your water is getting to your property. One of the goals at the beginning of the year was to really scale up these new constructions, obviously do more of them, but obviously impact the housing crisis in Louisville and throw up quality new constructions. Obviously we got these two going over here on East Kentucky, but then we got 2 more going over on East Ormsby 4 streets away.